Hi and welcome. So today's videos are going to be on the credit bureau. So it's going to give you information on how to request your credit bureau, what's on your credit bureau, and finally if there's anything on there that needs to be changed. For example, you dispute one of the debts that are on there, or some of the debts are stat bar, so they've passed the statute of limitations. We're going to show you how to make sure that your credit bureau is the way it's supposed to be. So just to give you some examples, there's a lot of cases where a file shouldn't be on your credit bureau, but it'll still be on there. Or let's say you've disputed a debt and it's still hurting you. I'm going to show you how you can mark it dispute so it doesn't go against you anymore. And also, let's say if the debt's past the statute of limitations, but they haven't removed it off your credit bureau, that's also hurting you. So anytime you're planning on making a big purchase, so let's say you're going to be buying a car, you're going to be buying a house, you're going to be doing any kind of purchase, you want to make sure you've looked at your credit bureau first so that when you walk in there, you know exactly what the bank's looking at. You're ready to go, right? There's also other cases, like it's not a bad idea to every year take a look at your credit bureau and just make sure everything is right. Because it doesn't take long for credit fraud to happen. And even though you probably will be reimbursed for credit fraud, it's going to take a really long time. In the meantime, your credit bureau is going to be all messed up. And even at the end, they just mark it fraud, and it can still hurt you. So it's a lot better for you to be on top of your credit bureau, and we're going to show you how to do that. So this is the website that I've created. This particular page is the fifth page down. And this particular page gives you all the information on how to get your credit bureau and how to check if a debt's still valid. So it's going to tell you about the statute of limitations, and it's going to have all the forms for you. So literally all you have to do is print out one letter right here, and you're going to print it out for Equifax, and you're going to print it out for TransUnion, and they're going to send you back a copy of your TransUnion credit bureau and your Equifax credit bureau, right? So now let's say there's a problem. Let's say something that's not supposed to be on there anymore. And I'll go over a little bit more exactly what the statute of limitations is and what a dispute is. And you find something on there that's not supposed to be on there, you use these forms to get them to update it, right? So it's pretty simple. I'm also going to show you some sample forms of one of the Equifax and one of the TransUnion, and it's going to tell you what's on your credit bureau. Alright, so I'm going to go, let's start with TransUnion. So this is a TransUnion credit report. This isn't a real credit report. This is actually available on their website as a sample, so you can learn exactly what credit bureaus look like and what yours looks like. And for you to be able to know if something on there is not supposed to be on there, you kind of need to have an idea of how your credit bureau works. And it's really good and important for anything. You're going to buy a house, you're going to buy a car, just to be on top of your credit report, because this is what everybody looks at. This is what the banks look at, the mortgage companies, the car dealerships, even when you go in to get a Sears card, right? They may not get the entire credit bureau. They might just get a score, and we'll go over that as well. A score is basically just a number that's been put in place of all your credit bureau information. So everything on your credit bureau has a mathematical number, a value, and the score. If it's higher, that means it's better. If it's lower, that means it's worse. So let's say you have unpaid credit cards. Those are making your credit score go down. However, you have credit cards in good standing. Those will cause them to go up. The longer you've had your credit, so the number of years you've had an account open, that helps you out as well. And also what percentage you owe compared to what you have available. This is really weird the way this works, but let's say you've got all your credit cards and you have $10,000 altogether available, right? But you've used up about 7,500 of that. That means you're at the top of your credit. So that means nobody else is really going to give you any more credit when you're at that level. However, if you're at 25%, other creditors will keep giving you more credit. So the lesson to learn here is, I know it's weird, but it's better to have more credit and have your debt spread over more cards, because you want your average balance to be around 30%. I know that's really crazy to think about it, but that's kind of what you want to have it at. So let's say you bought your car for $20,000 and you still owe $19,000. That means that's pushing your credit level up. But you've got this credit card from Sears that's for $10,000 and you never even used it. You just maybe have a few $100s on it. That's putting your credit score back up, right? So I'm going to go into the bureau itself. I'm sorry if my videos are a bit scattered, but I'm going to be going over every individual subject, and you'll know everything like a banker knows by the time you're done watching these videos. Okay, so this is your TransUnion Credit Bureau. The subject is your name and your birthday and the social insurance number. If you've ever applied for stuff and you've used a different name, right? So let's say my name is Jonathan, but I sometimes go by John. My AKA will be John, and my regular will be Jonathan. The given name is what your real name is. The AKA is all the alternatives, right? And there's another thing that can happen a lot is credit bureau mismatch. Because all this information up here is all they have to decide whether you're this person, and the addresses and the employers. But for example, let's say there's two people with similar names and similar birthdays. It's really common that some of your files might end up on theirs and some of their files might end up on yours. You can be hurt by credit that's not even you, just somebody that has a name similar to you. And that's why I want to get this across, that you need to look at your credit and make sure everything that's on there is correct. This is also used as a tracing tool. So every time a collection agency gets a file, they're going to pull your credit bureau. So that's going to hurt you as well. But there's nothing you can do about that other than paying or settling the files. And most of the time, if they're already past the statute of limitations, you're doing that for no reason. You're still barely going to get any positive out of it. A credit bureau is a history. So what that means is you can never remove anything off a credit bureau unless it passes the statute of limitations. It can only be updated. So when a file goes to collections, it's now already a bad debt. They're not going to be able to take it off there altogether. All they're going to be able to do is update it and say, okay, well, it's been paid or it's been settled. So instead of having such a bad effect on you, it has a little bit of a better effect on you, right? And really the only time you would want to pay or settle a bad debt would be as if, let's say, you're going to be buying a house really soon or a car, and it makes more sense for you to settle these debts off and get your credit score up than it does to just wait and let them fall off. Because some of them, in some provinces, it only takes 2 years from the last payment date for them to just fall off. So if you haven't paid it for 2 years and suddenly you start paying it again, that can make it come back on your credit bureau. So you've just made it active back to the first day, as though you just took out that loan. And a lot of people don't realize that. They get caught into making a payment, and all of a sudden this loan that should have already been fallen off their credit and should have already been past the statute of limitations is now back and collectible, and now they can sue you. It's called acknowledgement of debt. So the way it works is by you making a payment, you acknowledge that this debt is still active. So that even overrides the legislation which says, oh, it shouldn't be active, right? So if you hadn't paid anything and you had let it pass the statute of limitations, it would just fall off on its own and it would be gone, right? But because you paid it, it made it back to day one. But that doesn't mean it's putting it back in good standing. You still have a bad debt on your credit bureau. All that's going to change is the balance, which has a very little effect at all, if any, on your credit score. And really all you're doing is making it stay longer, because it would have fallen off and not hurt you at all as soon as it hit the statute of limitations. And because you paid it, it's now back to day one, but still as a bad debt. I'm going to go to the statute of limitations on my site, just because I know exactly where it is. Okay, so I only have 15 minutes per video, so this looks like it's going to end here, but this is the statute of limitations for each province. So in BC, it's 6 years. So if you haven't made a payment on the debt in 6 years, it's gone. It's no longer collectible. They can't sue you. And if it's still on your credit, we can get it removed, right? Alberta is only 2 years, right? So 2 years after the last payment, right? So if it's been 3 years and they're calling you now asking you, don't pay it, they're not even supposed to be calling you because the debt is now past the statute of limitations. And if you do have collection agencies calling you, when they do call you, make sure you tell them that, and then make sure you get their address so you can send the do not call letter. Once this letter is sent, they're not allowed to call you again, period. And if they do, I also have links to every province, and at each one of these pages it tells you how to file a complaint. They're just literally letters you can print out, sign, fill in, oh, this collection agency is calling me even though the debt is that far, right? Done. And that way it's gone. Also, we have the credit bureau update form. So again, if something is, you haven't paid it in over 2 years, but for some reason it's still on your credit bureau, we can get that updated. If you pay or settle a debt, you can get it updated. And if you want to mark a debt as dispute, you can get it updated, right? So that's what that's all about. I'm just going to go over the basics again. A collection agency should never yell. Really what you want to do is just make sure that the only way they can contact you is by mail, and you do that by sending them this letter. I will go over the next part of the credit bureau on my next video. I can only have each one at 15 minutes, so stick around and watch the next video. Thank you.